since I am working a full-time job, I cannot be on my phone 24/7 talking to these contractors, but I do want to get regular updates.
Yeah.
So as I interview them, I set the expectations down of what I'm looking for.
Amazing.
All I wanted to do was get the cheapest price possible with the contractor, and I realized that was the wrong approach. Cheaper contractors, they will screw you over left, right, and center.
Yeah.
They won't be accountable to you, and those are the contractors that are likely to leave midway in the job and do someone else's job.
Yeah.
And I gave them, I believe it was 50% of labor up front, and there was no invoice or contract. It was just an email trail back and forth. That's how I started off.
Everyone knows you have to invest in your own city, right? Well, Austin Yeh is breaking the mold and overcoming a lot of the general fears that brand new investors have by living in the GTA, that's Toronto, Ontario, and investing in Windsor, a city that's more than 4 hours away from where he lives. And I find so many brand new real estate investors have this massive limiting belief that you cannot invest in a city that's a 4-hour drive. But I love the fact that Austin took that leap of faith, and not only that, but he's been crushing it as a real estate investor. So if you haven't seen the other videos Austin's done on my YouTube channel, he's actually done 13 deals in 2 years as a real estate investor, and most of them not in his backyard. In fact, the vast majority of them are in Windsor, Ontario. So I'm really proud and excited to break down this video, and hopefully we'll even break down some of your limiting beliefs when it comes to how far away you can own your real estate.
All right, what's up YouTube? Adam, JD Martin, and Austin Yeh here, and we're here to talk to you guys today about managing contractors from afar. I'm gonna have an open discussion here with Austin because I honestly have no idea how he does it. I've already had projects go way over time, way over budget, that are like 5 minutes away from my house, never mind 2 hours and a whole other city away, a whole other highway away. Toronto might as well be on the edge of the world from Windsor, and that's where most of Austin's projects have been performed in. So he's done 13 deals so far, 11 of which have been properties that he actually closed on and has done renovations or is about to do renovations on. So I want to get a better understanding of how one does that when living 2 hours away. And you're not from Windsor, are you?
4 hours away. No.
4 hours. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm thinking Windsor's 2 hours away because it's already scary from London. It's actually 4 hours away from Toronto. So my mistake, you guys. Austin's coming from Toronto and working 4 hours away. So you're not from Windsor, obviously?
Nope.
Okay, so you know a lot of contractors there, right, when you got started?
Definitely not. I knew one. I knew zero, then I was referred to one, screwed me over, so I don't work with that one anymore.
Excellent.
Yeah. Really, at the beginning, it was trial and error.
Yeah.
So the first one, I've mentioned it previously, but got referred to the contractor, did no due diligence, and obviously I'm not working with that contractor anymore because he took much longer than he told me. It went significantly over budget, and he just overall wasn't professional at all.
Your numbers on that too, like just for the audience here, it was about 50% over budget, and then like double or triple the time that you expected. So that's pretty big. And even though we're not actually talking huge numbers on this deal, the numbers still had a pretty big impact on you, right?
And it scared the shit out of me, right?
That's the biggest thing, right?
Especially since I'm working full time. For me, all I wanted to do was get the cheapest price possible with the contractor, and I realized that was the wrong approach. Starting off investing, I know a lot of investors are kind of like, oh, I want to keep the contracting costs to the minimum. I want to keep materials to the minimum. I just want to do the cheapest rentals possible, which is not always the best approach to go about it, especially since cheaper contractors, they will screw you over left, right, and center. They won't be accountable to you, and those are the contractors that are likely to leave midway in the job and do someone else's job.
So with this first contractor, were you paying them all up front, or were you doing like materials plus time, or they managed the whole thing? How did that look like? Like, what was that relationship?
So really, I didn't know what the standard structure was. So really, they asked for all of the material cost up front. Don't know how they derived that cost, but I gave that to them in cash up front, and I gave them, I believe it was 50% of labor up front, and there was no invoice or contract. It was just an email trail back and forth. That's how I started off. Obviously, because of all of those mistakes, I've kind of evolved past that.
Of course.
Taking that experience and not wanting to relive that, because I did have to take vacation days off of work to drive down to Windsor to make sure stuff was trucking along. I realized that I'm okay spending a bit more money if it means that there's less headaches, because in terms of the longevity of being in the real estate business, getting the cheapest contractors will probably knock you out of the real estate business very quickly. You're not going to want to deal with those headaches.
Well, the thing is, like, the difference between a inexperienced or cheap for whatever other reason, like maybe it's about their quality of workmanship or reliability, there's reasons why people would be cheaper, but the difference in cost to go from your cheapest option to somebody that's going to be kind of middle of the road is often not that much when you're actually looking at the cost of the contractor, but the impact they can have on your scope and on the quality, the actual finished product, and then the impact they can actually have on the deliverables. Like, was this thing ready January 1st, right? And then it ends up being ready, you know, late into February. Like, what are the unintended consequences of that? It's opportunity cost of not doing more deals. It's opportunity cost for your potential tenants and market phases or fluctuations in the market cycle. So, like, you know, you might miss hot summer, right, when the market's best performing. You might miss some of these opportunities, or otherwise, you know, miss opportunities to refinance and then miss out on deals. Like, there's a lot of unintended consequences and essentially unrealized opportunity cost when it comes to, like, just picking a quote, you know, with a general contractor or something. And something that could be solved so simply with maybe a few $1,000s more for the better person. Like, you want to take that bet right away. So that's a problem, I think, in any circumstance, any project, any deal. Never mind when you're like 4 hours away in your case. That's serious, man. I'm telling you, I literally live 5 minutes away from my project, and this thing went 3 months over budget and like 10 grand or 15 grand over budget too. So, like, I don't know what would have happened if I wasn't there, right, to be able to look at it or check in on, you know, progress that was happening on certain days, or you know, manage how much money I was releasing to them based on what I could physically see had been completed. Because a lot of the time in a text, things sound great. Hey, we did all this, we got all these things, and you're like, okay, cool. But then you show up and it's actually that they've done 80% of a bunch of jobs, but not 100% of any of them, which is something weird that some contractors like to do. And the thing about that is, you don't get paid, you don't get your refi, you don't get these things until the work is complete. Like, you can't rent it until it's done. So 80% of a job literally is worth nothing. I would have rather had the previous thing that was there, or the old flooring or something that was livable and usable, right? So that is a challenge for me. So
absolutely.
Okay, so walk me, so you literally had to take days off work to go to Windsor then and solve these issues. How did that sort of like wrap up? So, like, you did the project, took a bit of time, took a bit more money, you wrapped that up, and then what were your next steps?
Yeah, so what I realized is that I learned a lot of things from being in a corporate environment and working a corporate full-time job. One of these things is that the CEO of Microsoft, for example, he's not located in the Canadian office. He's not managing the analysts punching in spreadsheet numbers and doing their day-to-day tasks. He's responsible for the high-level management of the business and the vision of it. And I took that perspective of being a CEO in real estate and applied that to kind of my own real estate business. So, for example, when you hire someone like a full-time employee, usually you try to get a referral, because if you have a good employee or someone you can trust already, you know that their reputation's on the line by referring someone else.
100%.
So that's what I did. At the beginning, I was like, I need a new contractor. Let me get in touch and network with investors that are reliable in the Windsor market, investors that have done a couple of deals and who I look up to, and going to them and getting kind of their contractor list of seeing who they work with. Some of the contractors are recommended or common between them, but that could mean I don't want to work with that contractor because they're busy doing volume for them. But kind of getting a list of different contractors, similar to a corporate job, you get a list of potential employees, and then now interviewing these contractors was the next step. So obviously I called these contractors up, I sat coffee with them, I talked to them, I looked at their past projects, and I asked who their past clients were. When you're applying to a job, you want to see what companies you work with before, and you call those companies for referral.
100%.
Exact same thing with the contractor. It's no different than running a business.
Well, in this case too, like even better than the example of the new employee, right? Like the previous employer might tell you anything, but like when it comes to investors, they're gonna tell you, like if you had a bad experience, like they're gonna be so fast on the phone to be like, yep, I did a deal with that guy, or he did a project for us, and they'll tell you, because everybody wants to tell you their problem, they'll tell you the 10 things that went wrong and exactly what it cost and how much it went over time and how much it went over budget. So that's a great strategy. So like pre-qualifying, pre-vetting, and using your existing network to really get yourself some good contractors. I think that's smart.
And I needed to lay the systems down as well. Since I am working a full-time job, I cannot be on my phone 24/7 talking to these contractors, but I do want to get regular updates. So as I interview them, I set the expectations down of what I'm looking for.
Amazing.
For me, well, obviously I don't tell them kind of the budget I have in mind, right? Because I want to hear what they're going to say. But for me, the priority is timeline and organization, because I want as little headache as possible. Because the more headaches you get, the less likely you're going to continue pursuing real estate in terms of contractors. Because if contractors are constantly screwing you over, then your projects are just never going to get done, and delays, things are going to get expensive. So I just wanted the most headache-free possibility, so I'm okay spending a premium. So I'll lay it down to them that timelines are very important to me, organization's important to me, and I want to make sure I know what's happening at all times. So this means that I'm going to be talking with you every other day and getting updates, pictures, 20-minute phone call. And some contractors were not open to that, right? They liked autonomy, which is perfectly fine. If I was living at Windsor, that's fine, but I'm not. So I can't afford to have full autonomy. I needed to keep my finger on the pulse at all times just to see how progress was going. Right? Another big thing is a deposit. The deposit structure matters a lot to me because I'm long distance. At any time, these people can get up and leave, and I'm screwed out of my deposit because I'm not there. So I kind of prioritized what meant the most to me, and I laid it out to these contractors.
That's amazing.
And after interviewing them, getting their referrals, seeing which one fit the bill the most, and having a couple contractors agree to the structure I had there, at the end, it's kind of a gut feeling, right? Like which one you think you can connect with the most.
Who do you want to be on the phone with every other day, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's the same thing as working a corporate company. Everyone might have the same resume, then it'll boil down to who do you connect with the most, who do you want to work with the most. And I ended up selecting the contractor that I've been doing business day in and day out, and it's been going. There are still surprises that come. Things obviously will go over budget a bit, but I know what I'm getting myself into in terms of timeline. Everything is organized, and when something is wrong, I get a text message and a picture immediately of what's wrong. So during my lunch break, or if I'm going for a washroom break, I can pull up my phone, just check what messages are there, give a quick call, and see if we can pivot out of those mistakes. And that made management a lot more easier. At the end of the day, when I operate real estate, it's a business first, right? You don't want to be unorganized or messy, or you're not going to be able to scale this.
So tell me a bit more than what other technologies you're using. So I love that. First of all, right away, like your contractors have to at this point be using smartphones, right? Like getting that text with the photo right away, not that I have to ask for it. Nope, there's an issue. Send me a photo right away every single time so that I can get right on the same page, wasting, no time. Like I can read it, identify the problem, and then work on a solution with you. And then ideally, hopefully you're training your contractor and everybody else in your power team to not only bring you the problem, right? So here's the issue, but please bring me a few solutions when you're going. Like by the time you message me, I expect that you've taken the opportunity to workshop a few solutions for me so that I can make a quick decision. I like that maneuver as well, just a little pro tip there. But what other technologies are you using? So I like the text, I like the phone call. Are you using any project management software or anything along those lines?
Not really. I'm just, as of right now, I feel like I can manage everything from my cell phone. At the end of the day, it's having the systems in place, and I think I've solidified the systems of having a cell phone and a laptop to get through all of this. And why am I doing real estate? I'm doing real estate to be able to travel, to spend time with family. So if I can't manage these things from a cell phone, I shouldn't be investing in real estate in the first place. So now that I'm so used to managing things and acquiring properties and continue to scale from a laptop, I know I can manage that laptop lifestyle anywhere. Being 4 hours away from Windsor, it doesn't faze me. So being 8 hours away or 10-hour flight away won't faze me as well, right? It's just a timing difference.
That's a great way to look at it. Are you guys using any kind of like Google Drive or Dropbox or anything for your invoices or receipts? Like how does your contractor get the materials, somehow get that cost to you, and then you get him money? How does that process look for you?
So for me, again, I'm okay with spending a little bit more if it means things are completely transparent, on timeline, and systemized. So what I did was I went to Home Depot and got a commercial credit card.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah. And with the commercial credit card, the contractor can have access to it as well. I put the spending limit at about $5,000 to $6,000, so there's only a threshold of how much you can spend on it. And what happens is when
What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here, and have you ever wanted to join my team? Do you want to become a real estate investor? Have you seen what we're doing with wholesaling real estate? Maybe you want to become the next Adam Martin. Or maybe you want to become the next Mike Nowicki. How about Shahir? Or maybe you want to be Andrea. Or what about Tyler? Well, if you're interested in joining my team and going all in on real estate investing, what I need you to do is we're going to throw an email address down below this video. Click it, send us an email, give us your information, and maybe you can move here to London, Ontario and go all in as a real estate investor. We make offers, we buy fast, never gonna miss a deal cause we pay cash. Offers, 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 deals, deals, deals. Tell us, Mr. Seller, what price do you feel? Cause we're Southwestern's biggest source of deals. Yeah! Boom!
And with the commercial credit card, the contractor can have access to it as well. I put the spending limit at about $5,000 to $6,000, so there's only a threshold of how much you can spend on it. And what happens is when the contractor goes and purchases materials from Home Depot, they can tell the receptionist or the cashier, can you write XYZ property, and they can write that on the receipt, and I get a digital copy, so I can go on homedepot.com, enter my credentials to log in, and I can see every dollar expense of materials that they purchased.
That's perfect.
There are those odd exceptions where like sometimes you would want them to go to Goodwill or something to find something on discount, right? And then that I would pay them in cash, but those are far and few. Mainly the products are purchased in Home Depot, and it's a bit more expensive because you're not looking for the cheapest material, but it's the most systemized way, it's the most organized way.
And again, like I really don't know how much you're gonna save, and I know, drop me a comment. I know you guys are gonna get angry here, but like I really don't see a whole lot of value in sending your contractor, who's a skilled individual, to go out and try and find you some second-hand material that he's going to have to check most likely like 3 Reuse It stores or 3 Habitat stores or something like that. Send them to Home Depot with a plan, and hopefully you guys have all figured this out by now from Matt's videos and from everybody else in the investing community, with a standardized list of the same materials you like to use on every single project so that there's no surprises. Your contractors will get to the point where they can look at a building and they know exactly how much they need to get of what materials, because it's the exact same thing they did on every other project. Right? So the same flooring, the same paint, the same faucets, the same countertops, the same sinks, the same lighting fixtures, the same doors, the same hardware on those doors, everything, the same baseboards, the same everything, guys. Like standardize this to the point where now your contractors know exactly where to go, they know how much they need to get, they know what it's going to cost, and they know how to install it in a timely manner so that we're not learning something new every single time. And if you think that's boring, you're right. That is. It's the point. Boring is standardization, and it should be that way when you're doing projects, and especially multiple ones like yourself. And then in the future, this really helps you out, because if that same person is acting in some capacity at times as your handyman, or you just get a handyman, they know every time, hey, there's a damaged piece of flooring at 123 Main Street. Okay, fantastic. I actually know that that's this product because that's the product we have in every one of our buildings. So they can easily replace things, fix things, go and help out your tenants later. It makes life so much easier. And I imagine like you're not going to run into any of this now because you've got all new finishes, but as time goes on, if you just have those replacement materials in every one of your buildings, like man, you're going to save so much time and money.
Yeah. So, and when you're buying all of these materials, it takes contractors time. You're paying them.
For sure. Big time.
If the timeline extends, is it really worth an extra month of holding cost? It's much cheaper if you just end up systemizing, exactly what you said. Get the things that you do all of the time. The contractors will be more efficient because they know what you want.
Yep.
Less questions for you.
Yep.
So even if you're spending $2,000 more for a project, raising capital is what, like tens of thousands of dollars per hour job.
Exactly.
So you should focus your time on what your priority is, which is going to be either raising capital or finding a new deal. And that's what the CEO does, right?
Yep.
The CEO is totally okay with paying an employee premium because the employee does great work, delivers on time, but the CEO is really just focused on driving the top line. The bottom line, the expenses might go up marginally, but if you can drive the top line significantly higher, your net profit is increasing over time.
Exactly, and even using these systematic approaches, like you can often still save on the bottom line too. Like if I'm buying the same flooring for every one of my buildings or every one of my units, you know, I'm buying at a bulk discount, right? I might buy a skid of it knowing full well that I intend on doing another project in 4 months. I might, if I have the space, which I happen to have, I'm gonna buy a full skid of it, saving me, you know, 20, 30, 40% on that material just because I'm buying in bulk. And then it still has all those other benefits. So I'm not going out trying to get that sale at Rona that's this one day of the year and then that flooring's discontinued, or at Home Depot. Like, it's crazy. Buy something you know you can continue to get over the long term and buy a lot of it and then keep using it. So
Exactly.
and that's fantastic, man. Yeah, and I really like what you touched on there about core competencies, right? Like, use your time for whatever is best suited for your core competency. For me, it's finding partners and raising capital and off-market properties. That's what I do. I'm great at it. That's what I should do all the time. I should never pick up a hammer. I should never do any of my own demo. I should never save money on painting. I've done it all. I've made the mistakes. I'll still continue to make the mistakes because I'm stubborn, but in reality, you should be focusing 100% of your time and actions on the things that you're best at. So that's amazing. So for you, it sounds like actually that's like building that system was actually pretty easy for you and easy for you to pick up on, and now you can get back to focusing on partnerships and raising capital.
And I always have those backup contractors in the back of my pocket just in case anything happens. And it's the same thing, just the interview process again, getting referrals, same thing. Just put the hat on as you're the manager of whatever company you're working at right now. How are you going to go about hiring people? It's the exact same thing. And also, another big thing is that you can't 100% just rely solely on your contractor, right? You need to have other people there who are looking out for your best interest. And again, like with the company, let's say you have an analyst. The person looking out for your best interest as a CEO is your manager, the manager of that analyst. And those managers are going to be other investors around that community, property managers, friends, if you have friends down at the market you're investing in, those are your quote unquote managers looking out for your best interest. So if your contractor says something and maybe you're kind of thinking, this doesn't seem right, you can send someone in there to vet and check it out for you. Even if it costs 20, 30 bucks, it's better to spend 20 or $30 than to make a $1,000 mistake. 100%. So having great contractors is important, which are employees, but having great managers there to look after those employees are important as well.
I know, I love that point. And I think it's actually important here to realize too that we can always go back to some of the more simple solutions like technology. So if something doesn't seem right or it doesn't sound right and you're far away, one of the things that I've liked to do, we do this with the wholesaling team when people are walking through properties and markets that I'm unfamiliar with. Hey, let's jump on FaceTime. Let's jump on a Zoom call or some other form of media where I can actually get more media richness. I can see what's going on. I can get a general understanding of like size and relative distance and stuff like that, and that can really give you a good idea about what's going on, because often a photo doesn't always do the justice you need it to. Like, you know, if you're standing in your room right now, grab your phone, turn around, take a photo of the room, look how small it looks, look how cramped it looks, and you can't really understand depth and distance all that well in the same way that a video walkthrough can show you. So use technology where you can, and then I think use your systems as the foundation for your building blocks. So I really like that 20-minute call. I was thinking about that, and the way you're doing that is like a 20-minute call every other day, right? So you're spending almost no time on the phone. This is like sub 2 hours, less than 2 hours a week, managing a full project.
And I'm sure there are ways to systemize it, so I'll slowly work towards that. But for now, like with the amount of properties that I'm managing, it's completely possible. But there's always another way to kick it up to the next level. It might be a bit more expensive, whatever that next way is. But once I scale to that level, obviously I'm going to look for that next solution.
Reassess.
And another big thing is that, and I know a lot of people have this problem, and I had this problem with my first property, but luckily, for whatever reason, I was quicker to abandon it than a lot of investors, is that they want something 100% perfect.
Yeah.
Man, like, if you're working for a company, your employees are not going to do anything 100% perfect. When you tell them to do an analysis, they get it maybe 80 or 90% right.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You take that and then you build solutions around that.
100%.
But investors want everything to be completely flawless.
Yeah.
And this takes time, this takes money, and it gives you more unnecessary headache. Again, like, people are focusing on trying to drive their expenses down and make things perfect, instead of focusing on the bigger picture, which is driving your top line revenue.
Get that refi, get the next property, get the next project going, get that next wholesale fee. So much more important than focusing on those little details. Perfection, it's the enemy of performance, right? Like, if you must have it be perfect, you're most likely pushing back timelines, pushing back refis, pushing back opportunities that you could potentially be missing out on, right?
Exactly.
You're staring here at a nick in the flooring, or like, I know at one of our properties, we got like a soft spot in the flooring. I'm not going to have him relay that whole thing and take days, maybe, a week even, off of my finish time. No, let's get the project done. Let's get it refi. Let's get our resources back. Let's get on to the next project and move that money forward. Because every time we do that, we're factoring our money up, right? It's taking big plays instead of worrying about, this might be 1,000 or 2 off of our appraisal. Like, I don't care about that compared to what we can do with the money.
And it's not even going to impact your rental.
It literally won't. And so, like, we see this all the time, and it's so funny where we see it too. It's often investors who've been in the game a long time. They've been doing this for a while, and they kind of get arrogant about the quality that they want to see, but you don't need to do it. And there's just so much to be said about getting on with the project, getting it wrapped up, and moving forward.
Where's your time better spent is ultimately what it comes down to.
100%.
For sure.
Cool. Any other tips for us for managing from afar? Because it seems like you got it down pretty hard, like pretty good. And honestly, like, it was really basic stuff. You systemize all your materials, and you systemize your phone calls and your expectations. You manage those expectations. You then hold yourself to that degree of accountability. So you're actually having those phone calls every couple of days, even if it's only 20 minutes. You're checking in on that progress. You're managing your payment structure and compensation with them, so it sounds like you're doing that really effectively now. And that does not look like no contract paid all up in front with the full deposit and full material budget. So that's fantastic. And then leveraging technology. I mean, this is stuff that we all can get behind, and it really sort of demystifies it for me, even, like, how easy it really is. Like, your first one didn't go so smooth, but after that, once you start doing these things that we're always talking about, like, it really seems doable, right? Like, and it's 4 hours. Like, that's serious. That's no joke. Like, you don't want to drive 4 hours, because if you have to drive back, that's a full day, like literally a full day. So I really respect that. You can kind of systemize your way through that type of a challenge. So.
And one thing that I didn't mention that I should mention now is at the end of the project, when you have all of your scope of work already kind of listed out, you want to make sure that they did everything there. You want to make sure that if there's any small touch-ups, you let them know. And what I've been doing at the beginning is, at the end of the project, I would drive down and just do the final check myself. But I could just as easily, and I have done it before, get a property manager to go in there, or get even a house inspector. Pay them like $300 to go through there and be like, this is my scope of work, and also if there are any other flaws or anything that's unsafe, can you point it out? And those kind of wrap up the finishing touches. And when I negotiated with contractors, there are a couple of things you can negotiate on. So you gotta ask questions again. It's like wholesaling. You gotta figure out their situation. Some contractors are hurting for I hate to say it, some of them are hurting for money. So they'd rather be paid a bit more upfront. But if you got good referrals, they do good work. You could. So I would frame it. I would say, I could give you a bigger deposit up front, but I will have to pay you a little bit less just because I'm taking a bit more risk. Or I can give you slightly higher pay, right? So maybe $1,000, $500 difference, but I'm gonna basically backload most of the money paid once the work is complete. And there's it's all about framing it when you negotiate, or you can be like, hey, timelines is very important for you. So you can say, I am willing to pay you your $5,000, but I'll give you a $500 bonus if you meet it by this timeline.
Yeah, with this set quality guideline. I think that's a really fantastic perspective as well. Like this is a negotiation, right? We're talking about a product and service the same way that you would talk with any buyer or seller of properties, and you want to manage those expectations, manage them up front, and of course, everything is a trade of value, right? So I'm exchanging money to you for your services. What does that look like for you? What are your needs? Why are we talking today? And what are you willing to provide me in this deal, right? And what am I willing to give you? Because obviously it has to be a win-win, or neither of us are going to do the deal. So I love that, man. That's fantastic. That's a great way to look at it, and it can be a great way as well to leverage your needs in that moment, right? Because you might have more time. Like it might not actually matter. Maybe you are planning for a summer market and you're like early winter, so you're like, hey, if this takes another 3 weeks, you know, my carrying cost is fairly low on this project, whatever, let's do it. Say I got a cheap VTB or something, that the carrying cost is not that bad. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic perspective, man. And this is really just a testament to how dynamic real estate investing is, and contracting and acquisitions and dispositions. There's so many ways to do it, guys. You just got to focus on solutions and finding a win-win for everybody involved. You know, your buyer, your seller, your realtor, your lawyers, your contractors, everybody here needs to eat. And it's like Matt always says, there's more money. What does Matt even say? There's more than enough money out there to make it, but if you're not saving it, like, what's the point? So.
Yeah, so if I could leave the viewers with one tip, again, I always like to come back to this analogy, is that most of you guys are probably working full-time jobs. How is the company you're working for doing it? Because I'm sure you're not the only location. Or if you don't even have to ask other real estate investors, you can ask other entrepreneurs and businessmen or businesswomen who have businesses across Canada or in different locations. How are they managing it? Because they're not there 24/7 all over the place. And these are the same core principles for any business, but we're just backing it into real estate and we're applying it to our real estate business. It's no different. And I don't know if you want to get into it, but we can talk about a huge question I get all the time is, how am I finding off-market deals being 4 hours away? Couple of things. The most obvious one is finding a wholesaler, finding trusted wholesalers. An exercise I encourage everyone to do is to go on Kijiji, search the We Buy Home ads. More than likely, those are going to be wholesalers looking to buy some houses. I call every number on there and say, I am not looking to sell you my house because I have no house to sell you, but are you a wholesaler? They say yes. You talk a little bit, you have a bit of a conversation. Then you say, hey, can you add me on your list? So that's one way to go about it if you're long distance, right? So you're getting on a bunch of wholesalers list. Another way to go about it is by calling someone who looks at properties every day. So an inspector, because inspectors constantly see properties fall through, right? Talking to inspectors, talking to buddies around that area, hiring bird dogs to go door knocking for you, contacting junk removal companies, property management companies that deal with distressed properties, and they might
pest control.
Yeah, if you make 2 calls every day, just 2 calls every day, you're telling me you can't lock at least 2 or 3 deals by the end of the year? That's a lot of phone calls you're making. That's a ton,
man.
Exactly.
It's a ton. And like when you look at our team, this is why I think Austin brings up wholesalers. Like we have a whole team of wholesalers, and every single day our team members are making upwards of 60 phone calls, right? Knocking in the summer, the warmer months, they're doing well over 100 doors a day. So like that level of activity is going to lead us for sure, no matter what, to off-market opportunities. Like we're just taking that massive action. So find that person, find that group in your city and capitalize on that. And then also they'll be connected most likely. Use them for more than just the deals, right? Because they're going to be connected. So if you don't have a network at all, so you could start there with the We Buy Houses guys, because they're going to know a ton of investors, and they're going to be able to point you in the right direction, most likely, to somebody that would know contractors, to somebody that would know financial partners, to somebody that would know a great investor-friendly accountant, lawyer, or anybody that you need for your power team. So great place to start, and that's a great tip to leave us off off with. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy that you guys could be here. You chose us to watch, and you could have watched anything else on the internet. There's Peter over there doing crazy stuff. We got kittens, we got everything out here. But you're here today on Matt McKeever's channel, and we can't thank you enough for that. So again, guys, show Austin some love. Drop us a comment, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Hit that button below so that you can get a notification from us when we put up a video. We're doing a video every single day this year, so make sure you come back and watch the ones that you want to see, and make sure you go back and watch the other videos with Austin where we talk about some of his portfolio porn. All right, sounds naughty, and it is. He's done 13 deals in 2 years, actually less than 2 years, so he is absolutely killing it with the Burr method, and somehow he's doing it from 4 hours away. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you. Make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. I am Adam JD Martin, and again, if you haven't already subscribed, you already know what to do. Lots of love from Matt McKeever. Talk soon, guys.
Thanks again to Austin, and I hope everyone watching this video really got some confidence and courage as a real estate investor. And if you didn't take away from this video already, I want to grant you permission to go invest in markets that are outside of your own living space. There's no reason why, if you're in the GTA, if you're in the Greater Toronto area, that you have to buy, a new build or pre-construction condo. There's a lot of opportunities in southwestern Ontario, so why not just hit me up? In fact, we'll throw a link to our wholesale list if you guys are interested in buying real estate in southwestern Ontario. I'm going to throw a link in the video description down below. Make sure you sign up for our email list so you can see all the amazing cash flowing, yes, we have cash flowing opportunities here in southwestern Ontario that you GTA or really anywhere in Canada or the US or wherever you call home. If you want to invest in Canada, hit us up and join our email list. Otherwise, if you guys want more great videos with Austin, check out this playlist right here, or just want great Canadian real estate content in general, check out this playlist down here. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.